Hello folks, so today we are going to talk about what is life. So life is a very important aspect. We all are living, so we want to know what is life. And as the topic says, decoding life. So I will be sharing some information about what is life and how can we make best use of our time. So if we analyze in a very simple way, so what is life? So life is basically the time. Life is time in simple sentence. Okay. So basically it is birth and then there is death. From birth to death, there is a link. Okay. There is birth and there is death and then there is link. The link is called the time. So you have a certain amount of time from birth to death, and whatever you are going to do with it, that is what we call life. And usually it has some implication basically about the usual stuff. If you are born human, then or even animal, usual stuff we all do, like breathing, eating, and sleeping, and excretion works. Basically, so they are there. Basic things will be there if you are born live, depending on the creature. That is basically we are humans, so we have certain things. But I am going towards more deeper meaning. Okay? So what is life? So life is basically it's a time. You have a certain amount of time because we have a heart. Our heartbeats are limited. One day we are all going to die basically, and so you have certain days or years. If I call maybe 100. If you live a healthy life, but then there is basically we all want to know what are we going to do with this number of hours or years we have. So basically, when you grow up, most of the time is like gone. Basically, up to 18, 19, 20 years, hardly anyone comes to that figure out like what is life. Usually, we are run by the dogmas of the society. Society tells do this, do that, read and go education, get a job, and we do all the stuff. Basically, before we figure out what is life, because we borrow the ideas from society. Most of the ideas are from there only. But now let's reflect. We are going to analyze in a more better way, and that's what this video is about. So we will know in a more broader way. So many philosophers have said about life. So we will discuss that also. And but I have some points. I will discuss that also. So life is basically time from birth to death, but it is a very simple definition. Layman definition we can call. It has no deep insight. So, yeah, we all know we have a time, and what are we going to do with that? But our whole focus is on doing. Like, कि मैं क्या करूँ? What should we do? Like we should do this job, or that job, and what kind of work we should do. Our whole focus is on that. कि ये कर लो, फिर ये कर लो, फिर ये कर लो, तो लाइफ अच्छी हो जाएगी. ये जॉब कर लो, फिर शादी कर लो, और ये कर लो. ये सब तो सुना ही होगा आपने. But now we are going to talk about more like what is life. Doing comes naturally, but first important is like you should know. Knowing is more important than doing. When you know what is life, then naturally you will be living a better life. You will live a peaceful, more joyous, more blessed than many of the people. They keep complaining what is life, and they have no resources, they have no good money or whatever they are. There is dissatisfaction within them. But once you know, knowing brings a clarity, and from clarity your action will come. So knowing is very important, and that's what is also mentioned in Bhagavad Gita. Arjuna, Krishna says to Arjuna from there, and he also focuses on knowing. First know who are you, what is birth, what is death, and then you will come to know what is life. So basically, first thing what I am going to analyze is the birth. Okay? So what do we mean by birth? So we are talking about what is birth. So birth means when a infant body comes out from mother's womb, we call it a birth. Okay? So basically, but let me ask you one thing. What does birth actually means? A body is being coming out of another body. We call it birth, right? In cultural system. But if you look closely, the infant was also a living being inside the mother's womb. was it not? It was alive. Basically, it was also living there. It was not dead. Okay, it was an active being. If you look closely, its organs were functioning. If you look closely in the mother's womb also. So what do we mean by birth then? Basically, it's a mechanical process. Right? It's coming out something and more of when the basically if you say birth, if you look deeper, some would say like when the first time egg and the sperm got fertilized. Okay, so when egg and the sperm got fertilized, then like the fertilization happens, then development of the body happens. Basically, if you look in a more biological sense, then we can call it a birth. I mean, yeah. But basically, the two cells, basically, it has genetic materials that contain the information to form the body. So basically, it's a chemical process. I mean, the cell is also, a sperm is also living cell, egg is also living cell. So basically, living things create another living things, and then there is a chemical process basically. So I mean, you are born from a living being, and it is continuing from long past, right? Your grandfather and his fathers and his fathers, and his basically it all came from long chain. So you have been living. I mean, it's just changing, right? It's just a transformation of information, right, in chemical form. So basically, the chemical is flowing from long since time, right? And that is coming to you, and basically, then there is formation of you. But you would say like, yeah, I feel like I exist. I mean, yeah, I know you. Everybody would say that. I mean, I exist. But I mean, how do you exist? I mean, yeah, you exist. Okay, I also exist. That is basic fundamental. Like we all feel we exist. So you exist by some psychological thing. Okay? Now, if I ask you, I mean, do you remember your childhood? I mean, there is no memory, right? I mean, what happened when you were 2 years or 1 year, when you were 6 months old? I mean, there is no definition, right? You don't remember anything when you were 3 years, 2 years. I mean, there is no memory. Like mind doesn't work that way. Okay, so when you as usually gradually you grow up, basically neurons, whatever the brains is designed. So and then there is psychological creation. Basically, when you are birth, then that psychological creation is also there. You feel you exist, but basically it's all chemicals, right? It's chemical or mechanical form, and there are hormones which leads to emotion and the feelings basically, and there is that. So basically, if you look deeper, I mean, the birth is also a surprising thing, right? What we call as birth, we call it birth in our normal language, but if you analyze it deeply, I mean, it's just a flow of chemicals, right? It's just transformation. It just appears. Something is transforming chemical. Just like the water becomes vapor. You would not say the vapor is born. Water becomes the vapor. There is transformation. Just like chemicals got accumulated and there is formation of this body. Okay, and when you die, again the chemicals from one form it decompose to another form, right? The organs basically decay and the functions are not there. So basically, its functions are demolished, and then we call it it is another form. Okay? So matter is basically transforming in one form to another form, from birth to death. But I mean, even if you know this, I mean, how does it going to help you, right? We want to live a good life and we want to use our time. That is the most important question we should answer. So I would like to answer that. Like many saints have also tried to answer. So I will take that one by one and we will try to analyze. Okay? So what are we going to from birth to death? Basically, but they say that, I mean, you should know who are you. I mean, really, are you the body? That is birth. So if you are the body, then body is changing. It's continuing from beginning to the end. I mean, it is all changing. Okay? So there is nothing like birth and death if it is body. Well, it's chemical. Chemical get transformed. Even the cells that were in you when you were 1 year old, and the cells which you are now you have in your body, that cells entirely got replaced because the cells get changing. Cells die and cells form. So the body is changing. I mean, every 10 years body change. So there is nothing like called permanence or anything. Okay? So a body keeps changing, and that is there. So if you call the body, then there is not. There is nothing birth and death if you analyze yourself as a body. So you are not the body. First thing that they emphasize is you are not the body. In the body, mind also comes. Mind is also a chemical, and it has formed from neurons basically. And neurons are also chemicals. Electrical signals are there. So basically, there is no birth and death if you look from body point of view, but there is a psychological longingness. We all feel like we are there. There is, you feel like, oh, I exist. I mean, even there is no light, you know you exist. Even you cannot see, but that existence of you basically fades away when you are in deep sleep. There are basically three states of experience through this body that we have. First is like Jagrat. That's what we are experiencing when you are Jagrat Avastha, you experience this world. Second is dream state, where mind creates its own world. From the mind creates its own world and you see something. And third is deep sleep. And in the deep sleep, there is no experience of you. I mean, when you get up from the sleep, then you know that you have slept. Okay, basically. But when you are in deep sleep, you do not know their world exists or you exist. Nothing exists. Right? It's just emptiness. That's what exists. Keeping these things, so basically this basic background. Basically, if we discuss life, we should have these foundations very strong, and that's how your understanding will evolve, and you will come to know what is basically the sense are trying to say. Okay? So we will take one by one. So basically, whatever we have time, basically there is a body, and the body is going to die. So you have to do something useful with this body, and what you can do in a best possible way, and how to live a life, and that's what saints and philosophers and rishis have said. I will take one by one. So you all know Swami Vivekananda, right? He was a disciple of Ramakrishna Paramhans. Ramakrishna Paramhans was a devotee of, he was worshipping Kali, basically, and he was basically harmonious with God, or whatever we call God. God does not exist in a way we usually think. Okay? So I avoid using the word God right now. But Swami Vivekananda says, the purpose of life is to manifest that divinity already within you. So he is telling that purpose of life is to manifest the divinity. Manifest, the word is important, manifest. So it is not like that I told you and you get the information that divinity, you are divine being and you have something. No, it doesn't happen that way. Manifest means you have to realize yourself. Okay, so you have to do that work from your part, and then it will come like what does it manifest means? Manifest means like your own realization, that you know that you are what you are. That is the divinity within you. You have to analyze, you have to realize, and you have to know that within you, and that requires some whatever. I mean, there is knowing, sadhana, whatever you can do. And I will take another Raman Maharshi. If you have heard, he is a Raman Maharshi from South India, and he was basically one of the greatest spiritual leaders of that time. He has great impact all over the India, basically. So what he says, the ultimate purpose of life is to discover your true self by asking, who am I? Okay? So he is also emphasizing that you should know that who am I? You have to keep asking that question, and then you will find answers. Okay? And that's what he is telling. That's what the ultimate purpose is. The ultimate purpose is to know who am I. So it is about knowing, not doing. Okay? So doing comes naturally when you know who am I. And lasting peace comes from self-knowledge rather than external achievements. And he also emphasizes that once you know who you are, then naturally the peace and the bliss comes together once you know, and it remains sublime. Next I will take Sri Aurobindo. He says that human life is an evolutionary journey in which consciousness can grow toward a higher, more divine state. So he is telling that it is a journey. Okay? And through this journey, you will come to know your own divine true nature. And that's what he is emphasizing. And I will come to the most influential leaders, spiritual of history, Kabir Sahib. Okay? So what Kabir says, I will quote in Hindi. Basically, most of his quotations are in that. So Kabir says, "Manush janam anmol hai, मिले न बारंबार, तरवर जो पत्ता झरे बहुरी ने lage dar. So Kabir emphasizes saying that being born as a human is a very auspicious occasion because it can only lead to you the path of liberation. That's what Kabir is saying, right? Manush janam anmol hai, mile na barambar. So you won't get again and again. Once you're born as human, it's a great opportunity. Don't miss that to know yourself. Tarwar jo patta jhare, bahuri na lage dar. And he is quoting example from that when a leaf falls from the tree, it cannot attach itself back to that tree. Okay, so once the patta jhad gaya to jhad gaya, you can do nothing. Next, I will quote from the greatest of history, also one of them, Goswami Tulsidas. We all know he is famous for writing Ramcharitmanas, and from that I will take one. Bade bhag manus tan pawa. So what Tulsidas says, Goswami Tulsidas, I would say, with the due respect, I mean, basically. So bade bhag manus tan pawa, sur durlabh sab granth hi gawa. Sur durlabh sab granth hi gawa, sadhan dham moksha kar द्वारा पाए न जेहि परलोक स्वाहा. So बड़े भाग मानुष तन पावा. So he is also emphasizing that it's a great opportunity. बड़े भाग ते मानुष तन पावा. You are blessed. You have got this body, and from this body only the knowing of divine is possible. That's what he is emphasizing. Surlabh मतलब सब ग्रंथ means all of the granth that has been written, the Vedas, the Upanishads, all that seem the same. Okay? So, बड़े भाग ते मानुष तन पावा. सुर दुर्लभ सब ग्रंथ ही गावा, साधन धाम मोक्ष द्वारा पाए न जहि परलोक स्वाहा. One of the more quotations from Ramcharitmanas I will take. नर तन सम नहीं कौनहि देहि, नर तन सम नहीं कौनहि देहि, जीव चराचर जगत जेहि. So it also emphasizes that, like जीव चराचर जगत जेहि. So it is emphasizing that being born as human is auspicious. So no, I mean, who are you? You are the greatest of great. I mean, and also, I mean, Krishna also says in Bhagavad Gita, I mean, basically you are Atman. I will come to that later. So now what Buddha says, Buddha also says that hard it is to be born a human being. So Buddha says that being born is hard. He also gives example that it is like 1 in millions of millions. I mean, there is very less probability to being born a human. I mean, because there are a lot of creatures in the universe. If you look around, 84 lakh yoni, some say, and there is probability of being born one, being human, and that's how you know this universe in the best possible manner. So whatever we have heard from this sense, if you sum up, the conclusion is that being born human is auspicious. First thing is that if you are born human, you are the supreme in all creation. That's the first thing, because you have the best sophisticated facility to know this universe and know that. Okay? So basically, human body is most advanced and sophisticated in all way. I mean, it has got cognitive ability. It can think and it can see things in beyond way. It can own reflect within self. And it can take care of other beings. It has compassion. I mean, highest you can see. And I mean, this body is amazing. I mean, through this body, I mean, you can analyze, but it also gets suffering, and that's where the problem comes. So we have to analyze what is suffering and how do you get out of them, and that's all the liberation process is called. And that's what we are going to understand basically in more. So what Upanishad says, if you look at more, so Upanishad also quote that Upanishad says tat tvam tum wo, and his Upanishad doesn't refer to the body. The body is already, they know it's 5 tattva, 5 elements, and that's it. So it again goes to that 5 elements. But he says tattvamasi. Tattvamasi means he is saying tattvamasi to something else. Okay? Your own nature. Who are you? That is concept. Body is changing, but there is a feeling in you that you exist at all. And from that they are saying Aham Brahmasmi. It is very easy to say Aham Brahmasmi, but not that easy. Simpler but not simple. Unless you know what that means. Aham Brahmasmi. Unless that manifest comes in you. Swami Vivekananda used the word manifest. And in Ramcharitmanas, Goswami Tulsidas ji says, Jani, not Mani. You cannot assume that. You have to know that, Jani. Sab jag Ram mein jani. And also, if you look around, I mean, if you look at the objects, if you look at something, whatever you see, I mean, did you see like everything? I mean, you say, okay, we see, I mean, this is a bottle. You can say, okay, this is a bottle, I can see. But, I mean, humans have started calling it bottle. It is not bottle. Okay? So, if you remove the label and everything, then things become very, if you go deeper, then you will know that you know nothing. And that's what the great is. I mean, definitely, I do not know nothing. I mean, this universe, nature, it's all so blazing. I mean, it's amazing. The soil converted to flower, flower converted to fruit, and fruit when decays, it's again matti, it can become water, and water goes to the sky, and all these things happen. It's just manifest, beautiful manifestation. But if you remove all the labels, label means like, we started calling it a Sat. Okay? If you don't call it Sat, what it remains? If you remove all the labels, right? Then what remains? And if you call everything, because humans, we only made this. I mean, a dog does not know we called this Sat. Even you cannot ask a cat to understand this is Sat. He doesn't know. I mean, they doesn't think that way. So this is Manav Krit. We have all assumed certain basic assumptions. And that's where the problem lies. So once you start going deeper, so you will understand that whole world is basically Brahma. Basically, we have such eyes, so we can see things that way. So observer is dependent on the observant. So so this looks black, but this looks black to my eye, the human eye. So human eye is designed in that way that it looks black. What it looks to snake, you don't know. So basically, your ear is designed in that way. You can hear certain type of sound. So whatever the world appears, it appears because the organs have been designed in that way. Okay? So that's why you perceive the world as it is. But if you look deeper and try to understand what it is, and that's what Buddha and Upanishads all come to conclusion that they call it Brahma. Brahma means it's not a word. Basically, it tries to emphasize that it is the same thing, but because of the different faculties, we perceive it differently. That's what they emphasize called the Brahma. Sabjag Brahma. They call it Brahma, and even they cannot give a word. I mean, it is. I mean, what you cannot say. So they call it Brahma. It's very not use it commonly, but you should know there are misuse of these words basically. So that's why I'm avoiding to know what is Brahma. It like Shankaracharya says, I mean, you have to get deeper once you understand analyzing. Basically, if you even go through science, you will come to know that whole world basically is composed of certain elements, and these elements you see in periodic table, and behind the elements are basically the atoms, and atoms consist of electron, proton, neutron, and electron, proton, neutron are not like separate entity. Even they can be transformed into one into another. Okay, so basically, if you don't label them, at the end it all just manifests. And the quantum physics is coming, and that also, I don't say quantum physics is going that way, but yes, quantum physics is very close to somewhat what Upanishads are saying closer. But I won't say that. Upanishads are like, they know don't through science, but they know through own realization, and that's the beauty the Upanishads put. And it is very, it's not easy to call Tattvamasi, Aham Brahmasmi. We can all imagine that somewhere God exists outside, but it's not. And that's what humans are capable of. And Kabir also says, when you talk of God, Kabir clearly says, हाय कहूँ तो हाय नहीं और ना कहा ना जाए, हाँ ना के बीच में सावरे समाए. So, and Kabir, Kabir is saying, he is saying, right? So whatever he is saying that, because whatever we see exists, it exists because you exist. and from your point of view it exists. Okay, so if you say something don't exist, and again you are the one who is saying don't exist. Okay, if I say 6 only, how do you say? If I say I have 6 fingers, you say don't exist, because you cannot see it. Okay? So the faculty that proves is your eye. So your eye is also important factor. If you cannot see, you cannot say. So basically, what exists, what not exists, is dependent on all very basic foundations of assumptions. Okay? And if you don't, I mean, we call Vyavhar. This is called Vyavhar. In Vyavhar, you can say it is 5. What it is not. Right? It's all Brahma. That's what we call. So there is called Satya, Tathya, and Kalpana. So imagination is most dangerous. Suffering comes from the imagination point of view. And Tathya is important because Tathya is like fact. Okay, it is 5. We all say it's 5, it's 5. It's a fact. And fact is good because it gives you a very nice way to experience this world. Okay, but if you want to go beyond that, I mean, a human mind is trained, I mean, it wants something that is beyond. It wants something peace because it doesn't get satisfied. I mean, in this world, it gets entangled, it wants for some time, but after that it gets exhausted, and that's where the problem comes. Okay? So that's what today's session, basically session I would not say, it's like more of a type of knowing that what it means, and Upanishads have said that. So basically life, if you sum up, the life is basically that only, that Vivekananda put it very beautifully. It's a great opportunity to know who you are, to manifest the divinity already within you. He's saying it is not lost. It is already within you. You just need to know that, and you just need to realize that. And that's where the divinity is, and yep, and that's what how you can sum up basically that divinity is there. So, and that's what human goal is. Whatever work you do, it should lead to that only. Ultimately, that there is, and once you move towards that, then there is death of the psychological I. We call it I. Means I does not exist. I, you say who are you? You say I am exist. I do not exist in the world. Right? You say my body, my car, my life. You say my phone. You say my specs, my home, and different things. Right? So I does not exist independently. It exists because of its subject. And if you remove the subject, then I doesn't exist. And that's where you live more freely, more independent, and more blissed out. And the whole purpose of life is that. If I say that you want to purpose of life to become IAS, then 200 years after there will be no IAS. These posts didn't exist earlier also. If you go 1000 years earlier, there doesn't exist any IAS. Okay? So, they are human made. Yeah? I mean, how can you say this is goal of life? To become IAS, to become engineer, doctor. I mean, they are part of this system because you are born in a certain context, and that's why you are doing that. Okay? These are not the divine purpose. Divinity will always come from the wisdom. That's what. Know your true nature. That's what. Okay?